Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 11 of the News Just News weekly roundup. I'm your host for today. My name is Lucia, and I am once again joined by Anna. Hello, Anna.
Hi, everyone.
And by Adam. Welcome.
Hello, hello, hello.
We are going to talk about many different topics today: entertainment, books, and even some viral moments that happened during the week. Obviously, you can find all of the stories that we're going to touch on our website, newsjustnews.com. We are having loads of different journalists from all over the world writing stories on our website, so please make sure to visit and take a look and read more about what we're going to talk about today. We are starting from the Oscars. So last week, as you know, the nominations were, announced, and there's been a lot of talk about the Oscars this year because specifically there was one huge thing, which was Sinners. Obviously received 18 nominations and it broke a new record. We have talked about Sinners in the past few episodes, so please make sure to go check them out as well. And yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that, but also there's been some snubs and people were not happy about them. One of them was Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. They were not nominated this year for the Oscars. And at first, people were saying that it could have been connected to the movie, that it wasn't as good to the first one. And I will tell us more about that just in a few minutes. And so many people thought that it could have been related to that, but then an anonymous source, which was an Academy Award voter, actually said that the reason was related to the press tour of the movie, because many voters were creeped out by the way Ariana and Cynthia acted. Obviously, if you followed a little bit of the press tour, or even if you've been online in general in the past couple of years, you've seen how they have acted on, during the press tour. They look always constantly on the verge of tears. They're always holding their hands and talking about how special their relationship is, how close they are to each other. And yeah, apparently, not everyone appreciated this behavior. And this Academy Award voter actually said that in their pursuit of behaving as, two authentic people, they actually were looking as if they were cosplaying. And this behavior was kind of considered as being uncomfortable, creepy, just a little bit worrying in general. And yeah, it was, not really appreciated by the voters. But then someone else also said that it could have just been related to the fact that the movie was not really that good and that they didn't really, deserve these nominations. So yeah, a bit of a mixed bag. There's been fans online that have not been agreeing with this opinion, but then other people, especially on Reddit, I've read a few comments here and there of people just saying the movie is not that great. These were really big categories as well, because it could have been leading actress and best supporting actress, so really good name, really good categories. But yeah, it's been kind of a mixed bag. So Anna, you're our Wicked leading expert. What do you think about it?
I think there's a lot to say about it. Ultimately, the Academy Awards are about the movie, the film, the art. So what I do find shocking is the fact that one of these voters said that they didn't want to put that through because of the relationship. I do understand that. We had some very crazy moments coming out of the Wicked press tour. Very viral moments as well, holding space. Gosh, don't even get me started. But yeah, I do think it is a pretty unfair thing to kind of judge the outcome of the movie and the awards it gets on those two protagonists and the way they act. Despite, I do agree, it was a bit weird. As for the movie, I'm not surprised that it didn't get nominated. Although it was, we had major rumors that Ariana Grande was going to get a nomination for supporting actress. So that was a shock. But listen, I've talked about this before on the podcast. I think the first one was great, but Wicked for Good was not Wicked for Great. It could have just been one movie. So you know what? I'm happy with it. As a musical theatre lover and a Wicked lover, I'm okay with it. But I do disagree with the voters' reason.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I feel like, even if that was the reason, then they shouldn't have said it. They should have just said the movie was not good enough. And that's what they're judging. So it shouldn't have been something that was made public. But obviously, yeah, the behavior was weird. And also there were rumors going on during the press tour about the way they looked, because they were both very, very thin. And they, that aspect of this whole situation kind of worried people as well. But this is not a new thing. Obviously, we've seen many stars, showing kind of like a new physique, a new appearance. And this has been connected a lot to medications and specifically, designed to lose weight. Adam, you can tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure. So especially going, we're nearly the end of January now, so people keeping their weight loss goals for 2026, new year, new me, it's certainly a thing that's come up, and these drugs, that people are taking certainly do help, but obviously they come with benefits and risks. So there's obesity is just a massive crisis, really, and in a lot of places it's like 1 in 8 people on the planet are obese, which is crazy to think about. And more and more people are taking these. You've got, they are very expensive, especially at least in this country. You have to go private for a lot of them, and it can be like in the US as well, thousands and thousands of pounds. But then you also think, saving, the healthcare costs, especially in this country, it's like tens of billions that we pay on obesity, the treatment of it. And going back to celebrities, I don't know if you guys have seen, but Oprah talks quite openly about this. And she talks about how it gets rid of the food noise. So that constant thinking about what am I going to have for tea, or like I want a snack, I want to go get a snack. She says that her mind was just completely cleared about that. So she wasn't constantly thinking about food. She wasn't constantly going to get food. But then also, as soon as she stopped it, it came straight back. And we see that there are quite a few studies now which show there is a big yo-yo effect. So yes, you lose like quite a lot of weight, a significant amount of weight when you do go on these, because presumably because of that reduction in food noise. But then as soon as that comes back, you put a lot of the weight back on. So then a lot of people are talking about the fact of, are people sort of going to be stuck on these drugs to make sure that they keep that weight off as well?
Yeah, I feel like that's a big issue with many of the, really extreme diets that people go through. Obviously, like you said, many of them come with their own risks, but specifically with the medications, like, we've got Ozempic being obviously the major one. They do come with a lot of risks. And most importantly, it feels like every person will have a different experience. So you can't really rely either on, what someone else went through. So it might work for Ofra, but then it might not work for someone else. And like you said, usually when then you lose a lot of weight that quickly in a way that many people consider to be kind of like an easy way out, then it's very easy to put it back on straight on. And thank you, Adam, for this. Obviously, you can read more about this topic specifically on our website, on News Just News. We've got a whole article about Ozempic. And now talking from, going from one extreme to the other, we've got another story that is, more on the entertainment side. But once again, it will be something that loads of people will talk about. And that's Jennette McCurdy's new book. Anna, would you like to tell us about that, please?
Yes, so Jennette McCurdy, we know her mostly from Nickelodeon. She did Sam and Cat with Ariana Grande and iCarly, of course. So she was a big child star. And with that, she actually released her first memoir, which was quite shocking, but was on the, best-selling list in 2022 for over a year, I think it was. And that was I'm Glad My Mom Died. Again, crazy title. But I don't know if you guys have read it. I listened to the audiobook and it truly did change my perspective. And it talks about her personal experiences, growing up on a child show with her mom, and it also goes into eating problems and weight loss and whatnot. But now, so she's now released another novel, which was over a week ago. And it's also another pretty provocative but exciting one. It's called Half His Age. But what is different about this one is that it is based on her, like, an experience that she had in her late teens with an older man, but it's more informed by personal reflection. It's not a direct autobiography. So Half His Age is basically about a 17-year-old girl named Waldo living in Alaska who gets in a relationship with a creative writing teacher, a married creative writing teacher who is obviously much older. So it's based on her personal experiences, but not completely to the point. And there's been a lot of mixed reviews. I haven't read it yet. I'm waiting until it gets into the bookstores in South Africa. But a lot of people are saying, you know, again, like the novel, I'm Glad My Mom Died. It's out there, and it's very real. And that is what Jennette does in her writing. She takes creative risks. And what is another creative risk that she's done here is she's gone from writing this memoir kind of style to now fiction. And it's really exciting to see her turn to this new kind of style and form of writing. So I'm excited to see where it goes. There have been mixed reviews. Some people saying it's too shocking, it's too uncomfortable. Others saying, you know, it's great. But she has responded to those, you know, reviews about it being misleading with the quote saying, you know, if something makes you uncomfortable, it's probably truthful. And she's right. So I think it's definitely going to be a hard read, but something really important, especially on the topics of, we've seen a lot of in Hollywood as well, when we see younger people dating older people, especially with young women. And this was in her late teens type of thing. So it's an important story to be told. And I think Jennette is the perfect person to tell it. So we will see how that goes and keep up to date with it.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, I feel like it's, you know, something that it's always very controversial to talk about. But then again, loads of products are touching on that topic, like, you know, gap relationships between people that, you know, have different ages. So like the age gap. I even saw, I think in the last couple of days, there's been a trailer release for a Netflix drama as well with Rachel Weisz. And I think it's called Vladimir or something like that. And once again, you've got, you know, the older woman in this case and the younger guy, and it's been, you know, a trope that's been used quite a while, but in this case it gets more impactful because obviously it's based on her personal experience and it is going to be controversial. And I remember when the memoir came out, it, you know, it was like she dropped a bomb. Everyone knew her from, you know, when she was a kid. Basically, she was just a teenager in iCarly, and then she just dropped this bomb and just went, I'm glad my mom died, and just talked about her experience, and it was really crazy. And yeah, Adam, did you used to watch iCarly? Like, did you know her from then?
I didn't really. So I actually knew her from, well, I vaguely knew her. I knew her more from the book, so I did listen to the audiobook, which I really enjoyed it as well. And I remember as soon as I saw this, I was, you know, this story coming out, I was like, that is, I mean, obviously it's not totally based, but I was like, I remember her talking about that in I'm Glad My Mom Died. So I was like, her taking that. And I think even with the titles, you know, Half His Age, she's really not afraid to put it right front and center. You know, this is what this book is about, which I think is great. I would say, you know, people are uncomfortable about these things, but I don't know, just because you talk about something doesn't mean that you're promoting something. Like, obviously, I mean, I'm sure when we read it, it's not going to be a promotion of, you know, these very exploitative age gap relationships, especially in Hollywood, because there's so much power imbalance. You know, that was just what, you know, even nowadays, I'm sure, you know, if you know, young girls want, you know, that top role, they probably still have to do a lot of these horrible things with these big executives. So, you know, and I think that's what she did with the, you know, the creative writer. You know, this is something that happens in the creative industry, and I think tackling it head on and making people aware of it is just the best way to fight against it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you know, people cannot really, even though it's, you know, a novel based on her experience, so at the end of the day, it's still a novel, so it's still fiction. Because she's talking about her own experience, you can't really, you know, judge how that's going to come out. But yeah, we're really curious about, you know, this book, and we'll see where that will go. And speaking from, you know, going from one topic that will be very, again, viral, when, you know, it's read by more people are going to talk about it. We're going to a lighter topic, still viral, but, you know, it's something funnier and lighter. So why did Emmanuel Macron went viral this week? Alan, would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think many people, I don't know about you guys, I don't know if you were particularly keeping up with what was going on at the World Economic Forum in Davos. I mean, I'm sure there's big headlines, you might have seen one, but the reason why French President Emmanuel Macron has gone viral is he's wearing these really, really cool sunglasses where, like, the entire time indoors while he was doing his speech, they're very, like, blue. So obviously, like, the World Economic Forum, like, it's all like this flush blue background, very, you know, modern, cool. And then he had these really modern Top Gun glasses. He looked really cool when he was doing it. And as well, during his speech, he said, he's talking about Europe, and, you know, obviously there's all the stuff about Trump, all the clashes, and he was saying, shall I do the accent? He was like, sometimes it is too slow, for sure. It needs to be reformed, for sure. And this little clip of him going, for sure, just completely went viral. So you've got all these pictures of him in the glasses, and then you've got him going, for sure. So this is what, yeah, the internet is going crazy for. There's all remixes as well. Like, you know, musicians, they've like remixed his speech. They put for sure on the songs. I've seen so many memes with for sure, like like how he says it as well. And I think it was yesterday or maybe a couple of days ago, Keir Starmer also put on some sunglasses and was like, bonjour. So it certainly seems like everyone's getting in on the action.
Did you see those memes, Anna, online?
I did, and I found it so refreshing. First of all, iconic move on his part. I love that. But I also just, I don't know, I'm sure everyone is feeling this way with the current state of the world. There's a lot going on. It's hectic. So seeing something a bit on the more comedic side, especially when it comes to a politician or, you know, a public figure, I think this was such a, like, fresh breath of air, you know, just to see these memes and people coming together to just have a laugh. And I think that's exactly what we need at the moment. So I'm loving it. I love how memes gain traction like this and how celebrities and singers are getting involved now. It is just, I love meme culture, guys. And this has been one of the best in January 2026.
The best thing about social media, isn't it? Just like going and seeing the memes and just having 5 minutes in which you're not thinking about anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like especially with Trump, you know, you get a lot of memes because I always see online that people say that he's a failed comedian. If he wasn't just like a horrible person and just like, you know, doing the crazy things that he does on the daily, it would be just really funny to watch him talking about things because he just comes out with the most random things sometimes. And yeah, I absolutely agree. Like it's just a way to release a little bit of tension every now and then, just, you know, take it easy for one day, even though obviously the state of the world doesn't help us. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me on this chat today on episode 11. Obviously, you can find, once again, all of the stories that we talked about on our website and many, many more. So please just go and visit News Just News. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.